Hello and welcome to the Recovery Matters podcast from CCAR, the podcast where putting recovery first is always the goal. Here we present interviews, discussions, stories, and speeches to cultivate the understanding and acceptance of the power, hope, and healing of recovery from alcohol and other addictions. Here are your hosts, Phil and Sandy Valentine.
Sandy and I were driving home from, I think, Rhode Island recently, and we were talking about being decades in recovery, and hard to imagine having alcohol in our lives. I mean, what it would be like. And I think we came to the conclusion that drinking for us, and we see it in many people, really complicates things and makes it really difficult because we have enough to deal with. And I think people think that, well, I've had a hard day, alcohol will relieve the stress, and maybe it does for some people. It never worked that way for me. And I think you kind of saw it. You lived it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was supposed to be fun, you know. That
Mm-hmm.
was, you know, it always started off as a party and fun, but never ended up that way. It was always screaming and crying and holes in the wall and things like that. So it was.
How did you cope?
So I think I coped by trying to be very controlling and, you know, control my world. And I was also, I feel like I was the adult in the house sometimes. You know, I had to kind of take over and be the grown-up and make sure my sister was okay and, you know, get breakfast for us and things like that. Well, the chaos, you know, just let the chaos kind of blow by.
It's a pretty young age to have that role.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Dad ended up at Pathfinders pursuing recovery, which is the recovery clubhouse in Manchester, Connecticut, of where we now have our Manchester Recovery Community Center, but we'll get there. So what, did things change in your home afterwards?
Yeah, things changed. So my grandparents weren't, you know, invited over for parties anymore, which kind of caused a little bit of a, I mean, I think there was a few years where it was difficult, the relationship, but you were asking, you were asking about how I knew my grandparents were alcoholics. Well, a couple of years later, my grandfather tried to quit drinking, and I watched him experience DTs, and he ended up having to be admitted to the hospital to withdraw from alcohol and all that stuff. But yeah, I watched him think there were spiders all over the walls and my grandmother crying and all that stuff. So we have, like I said, it really had a very big impact on our family and throughout my whole childhood. Even after my dad got sober, there was my grandparents and their chaos. So trying to deal with that.
Keep going. Keep telling your story.